Over 100 years old and still charming as Charlie Chaplin's The Kid. Let me tell you why I think this movie is great and why it deserves to be watched and rewatched coming up next. The Kid is a classic Chaplin movie, 53-minute runtime. Chaplin wrote, directed, produced, wrote the music for, and starred in this movie. He tended to do that, and it is an amazing feat to think about. As a fair warning, this movie is going to spoil the movie. I'm assuming you've seen this entire movie. It's only 50 minutes. You should just go watch it because it is great. The movie has all of the bare bones of all kinds of other movies. It is a great granddaddy of so many hit movies because of its bare bones plot. All of its key plot tensions. You have an abandoned baby being tossed around here and there. Who's going to take the baby and save the baby? That's one of the plot elements. Another one is single man, in fact, hard up single man, adopts an orphan child and then tries to raise an orphan child. That is the setup for so many movies. Single father with a child. From The Pursuit of Happiness, which I liked, Life is Beautiful, the classic Bicycle Thieves, the Italian neorealistic movie, definitely has The Kid in mind. I was in the 1980s, 3 Men and a Baby was a hit. 2.5 Men as a TV show, and on. This premise of single men raising children just is the gift that keeps on giving for Hollywood and other movie studios, and it's been big business, and The Kid knocks it out of the park as far as taking that premise and developing it. Another thing that Chaplin does really well is the human face, understanding that movies are the medium of the human face. That's how the intertitle opens up. It's a picture with a smile and a tear. Chaplin's tramp character being a clown-like figure, and a number of other characters in this movie, and you're going to focus so much on the human face, Chaplin and The Kid together. I want to analyze some of this movie's messages, and it's very interesting, the beginning of the 1920s in the United States, post-World War I. You begin with the fallen woman theme. In literature for the past 150 years, also melodrama, the fallen woman, the single woman who is pregnant, going to have a baby, and she's ostracized by society, or she needs to give up the baby in order to avoid ostracization. That's the beginning of this movie and the beginning of all the plot machinations in it. But the fallen woman becomes rich. In fact, when she gives away the baby, she then becomes a star, and thus this movie is sort of Baroque in its depiction of classes. It's going to span from the lowest class of all, the tramp and the kid, to middle class, maybe the policeman and his wife, to the richest of the rich in this movie. And we're going to span all of society. And the question is, will the dreams of the viewer, circa 1921, will the dreams of the people in the movie be fulfilled? Which is that we need to get this kid, whose mother is now rich, back to his mother, his original mother, but also going from being very poor and a tramp on the street, sort of a criminal, a street urchin, in a Charles Dickinson kind of way, to being in a rich household. That is the American dream, I suppose, and just being raptured up into being wealthy instantly because you were born wealthy, subject of so many stories. What Chaplin figured out, and what a number of movies, in fact, all kinds of classic movie archetypal characters are, they're figures on the one sense outside the law, but between the law, the police, and the criminal underworld. That's what Chaplin's tramp is in this movie. He's always getting hounded by the police, and he is very shady in his, trying to drum up business. But he's not as criminal as the other criminals in this movie. In fact, he's got a heart of gold because he adopted a baby. The figure who is between the law and total criminality is a classic movie setup, from detectives to cowboys to samurai. And the list just goes on. These movie figures are inherently, for whatever reasons, maybe it's the cultural zeitgeist, but attractive to movie viewers, and have been the subject of enormously successful, in terms of commercial and critical success, enormously successful movies. And that's the heart of my argument. The Kid is an movie. You Are an original movie that is the seed of probably hundreds, if not thousands, of good to great movies. So who cares if it's black and white and silent? It deserves to be watched for that reason. Another key aspect of this movie is the portal aspect, which comes up in all kinds of movies as well. The tramp and the kid need to go through the correct doorway. All throughout this movie, they're going into incorrect doorways, including the very beginning. The baby is put into the wrong door. In fact, he's put into a car. The woman, his mother, thinks, well, if he's put into the rich person's car, the rich person will adopt him into the rich person's house. The goal of the movie is for, as we see in the beginning, for these poor characters to go into the rich person's house. That is the correct portal to go into. But over and over again, they're going into the wrong portal, one of which is, of course, the tramp's house, which is charming, again in a Charles Dickens-like poor person sense, but not desirable. And everybody watching this movie from 1921 to the present knows that and roots for the tramp and the kid to go into a different portal. Throughout the movie, there are doorways going in and out, and the tramp is always tripped up or troubled by what's coming through the doorways, whether it's police officers, doctors who are going to take away the kid, or tough guy boxers who are going to beat up the tramp. Repeatedly, we see the wrong people come in. That is contrasted with the uber charitable figure of the mother slash starlet who is rich in this movie. She visits the poor section of the city. She helps people out. She, as the intertitle says, has a duty that she fulfills to these people. And because she is charitable, and Chaplin loves this idea, sympathy for the poor gets you what you want. In fact, sympathy for anybody gets you what you want, whether it's the tramp adopting a kid, becoming a single father and taking up that burden, or the starlet woman who goes and helps the poor out. She gets what she wants in this movie because, after all, she gets her child back. One great question in this movie is, do the systems that take orphans away, put them in orphanages, or do individuals, local individuals like the tramp, work better in terms of raising kids who are, out on the street and orphaned? Interesting question as well. Another one is law, the systems of law versus the tramp as a local individual. Which is better? And the movie is going to sort out all kinds of cultural and political hierarchies, from what law is and what law is good for, in the symbol of the policeman, to the doctors and the medical systems that are going to threaten to take away the tramp's kid. Or who's good and who's bad, and who's sort of in between good and bad. The movie completely sorts that out into something that's eminently analyzable. And of course, the tramp's going to be the hero of the movie, after all, because why would Chaplin go to all this work and not make himself the hero? Another classic movie thing to do. When you write and direct a movie and you star in it, you make yourself the hero. I definitely recommend watching Rashomon. The end of Rashomon is quoting this movie, I think. Bicycle Thieves is quoting this movie. Life is Beautiful, which won an Oscar, depends completely on the kid. And I bet you can think of 100 other good to great movies that are doing the work of this movie, that are copying it, using it over and over again. Put them in the comments. I want to see a huge list of movies based on the kid's premises, which is that an adult male and a poor adult male adopts a child and raises him. And so because this is an movie, the seed of a bunch of other movies, it deserves to be watched and studied by anybody who claims to be a cinephile, certainly anybody who's interested in cultural history of the 20th century. The kid is an absolute classic that could last another 100, 500, maybe 1,000 years. What do you think of Chaplin's The Kid? Let us know in the comments, and please subscribe to this channel for more great content. Thank you. Have a great day. Here's my Criterion edition of The Kid, which deserves to be put on a 4K projector. Man, does this restored version look incredibly great on a 4K projector.